and welcome back to Down Home Dietitian. I am starting my seeds today. I mentioned in a previous video that I'm delaying my seed starts by a couple of weeks this year because we are putting fencing in around our property and our garden this year, and I'm not sure exactly what the timeline will be for getting that in. We're hoping to do that within a couple of weeks of what would be our last frost date, which is usually when I would want to plant these starts out. So I'm delaying it by a couple of weeks from what I would normally do, but that should be fine. I'll have plenty of time to get a harvest. No big deal. I've just had to wait impatiently because I want to start my seeds. So I'm starting seeds today. I'm not going to go through a how to start seeds kind of how-to today because I've done that before, and I'll link that video in the description below, and I'll put a card up so you can go watch that if you want to know how to start your seeds. But I thought I'd just chat a little bit about setting your expectations for the garden, especially if you're a new gardener and you have no history with this, or you don't know anybody else who gardens, then this can be kind of a new concept. And so, and I've said this before, but I'll keep saying it. I am a dietitian by trade. I am a nutrition expert. I am not a gardening expert. I was raised by two farmers who were raised on farms and had vegetable gardens my whole life, but can't say that I was super involved in the care of them growing up. My dad's an agricultural science major. Like I said, both my parents and grandparents all have had vegetable gardens my whole life, and so that's just something that we have kind of always done as a family. But I didn't really take ownership of gardening at all until the last probably 4 or 5 years. And each year is such a learning experience for me. Like, I have never had a year where everything's grown. I have never had a year where I've gotten some of everything. There's always something that dies off. Leeks and watermelons are very elusive to me. I have a really hard time getting those to grow. Haven't done it yet. Doesn't stop me from trying. But why I'm saying this is that I want to make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on yourself or having unrealistic expectations of how your garden is going to turn out. Okay, I have a couple seeds stuck together there. Expect that unless your garden consists of like 3 herb plants on your porch, which is great and awesome and good for you, that's amazing. And possibly even then, do not expect that everything is going to live. And maybe that sounds bleak, and hopefully everything will live. But if you expect that it won't, you expect that you're going to lose some, and that's just the nature of the beast, then you're not going to feel disappointed, and you're not going to feel like you did something wrong if some of them die, because they will. There are so many factors in a veggie plant. And I will say, as somebody who's done veggie gardens for a long time, they are both very simple and easy and difficult to grow at the same time. I don't know how to explain that. So there are factors beyond your control, like weather. There are things you can control, but you maybe just don't know that you need to know about. And some of that's a learning curve. Some of that, like last year, we had a really bizarre year weather-wise, and some things just didn't end up having enough heat to really ripen the way they should. Anyway, my point being, when you don't get a harvest of produce, This is a phrase that I take from Jess at Roots and Refuge Farm, and she's one of my favorite gardening YouTubers to follow, and she's where I learn a lot of my gardening stuff. But she says if you don't harvest food, you'll harvest wisdom, and you'll harvest a lesson. And every single time that I don't grow something, or something doesn't grow the way that I would like it to grow or that I wish it grew, I end up learning. And the really cool thing, and also the really challenging thing about a garden is there's always next year. So if it doesn't work this year, there's always next year. The difficult thing about that is that it's a full year away. And in some cases, like if these seedlings, if I plant these today and in 4 weeks none of them have come up and nothing has worked as it should, I can still try again. I can plant out more. I can try to figure out what went wrong. And last ditch effort, I can buy starter plants from the store, and I can absolutely still have a beautiful, productive garden. So it's not the end all be all if something doesn't go right. And also, if you can't grow something in one try or in one garden season, for heaven's sakes, don't assume that you will never be able to grow that, or especially that you'll never be able to grow anything. Every plant's different. I have learned that certain methods that I like to use, like bottom watering, I love to bottom water. I talk about that in my seed starting video. Cucumbers hate that, I've learned. Every cucumber I tried to do that with rotted. They didn't like having their feet wet at all. So I learned, and now I don't start my cucumbers in bottom watering trays. So it's just partly trial and error, it's partly wisdom. It's a great opportunity to seek out a more experienced gardener and get some advice from them. And that can be a trade-off too. My neighbor Sonia, she and I have been connecting over seeds, and we shelled green bean seeds together and helped plant her veggie garden. So she's a long-time flower gardener, and she is just starting the veggie gardening this year. I am a long-time, 4 or 5 year veggie gardener, and I'm just getting into that perennial garden. And flowers elude me. They're totally different, and I don't know what to do. And I've always struggled with houseplants. I can grow a big, beautiful, productive garden, albeit with some things that just won't grow for me that I haven't figured out yet, but I keep trying and I keep learning. And houseplants, I struggle with. So just because you have had a hard time growing something in the past or in the middle of a garden season, please do not take that to mean that you will not be able to grow things. And I want you to expect that some things won't work. If you expect that some things won't work, then the things that do work will be a source of great joy and food for you, and the things that don't work will be a source of lessons for you. But if you expect 100%, then you're going to be disappointed. And I say this also with my nutrition clients. Like, all or nothing is a recipe for failure. Like, if you expect 100% of the time you're going to eat whole homemade food that's fully organic, and you're going to do all your workouts every single time, and you're going to hydrate every day and sleep 8 hours every night. Like, if you expect perfection, you will 100% be disappointed. Gardens, humans, and life don't work that way in perfection. So give yourself some grace. Expect there to be a certain amount of failure, and that's a part of life, and that's how we learn. But if you set that expectation, you will hopefully just be overjoyed by the success and not disappointed by the small fraction of things that don't grow in your garden. Thanks for joining me today. I'm so looking forward to this garden season and continuing to plant out these seeds and starts. If you're starting your seeds, comment down below and tell me about them. I would love to hear it, and I can't wait to hear how your garden season goes.